to another Beehive Jumpstart webinar. Forgive the shaky cam. It's my AI assistant, my little camera guy. Got a little gnome in the camera, being the camera operator today. Uh, and I don't actually, but it's just the iPhone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Very happy to have you. We already got 18 people here. We're going to give people a couple minutes to jump in. Um, Usually it takes a couple seconds for people to get in, but yeah, where are we listening from? I see New York, New Jersey, cool. Yeah, I'm over in Brooklyn, Cambridge, Mass, L.A., or Louisiana. Salim, are you in Louisiana or L.A., like Los Angeles? Could be both. Dan's in Oregon, nice. City of Angels, wonderful. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna just shout for my girlfriend to see if she can grab me a refill on the water bottle. Also, this was unprompted, but like shout out Brex who gave me this sick water bottle. Fellow brand. They make some really great quality stuff. Ran into them at Othership, which is like a sauna ice bath meditation place in Manhattan the other night. We're a client, and we joined them for their business event, and they gave us this sick water bottle. So um, I am giving them the shout out, so I can send it over to Joe, I think is his name. Give him a little shout out. But if you guys are looking for business banking for your small business or newsletter, Brex is a great solution for managing digital cards spend if you have employees, a team. Highly recommend. Um, they didn't pay for that product placement, but I decided to do it anyway and make it sound like an ad. So uh, completely organic, but thank you for the water bottle. It's going to keep me hydrated during this call today so that as I'm talking to you for the next hour and a half, my voice doesn't get creaky and scratchy. Um, but yeah, what we have in store for us today, we do these every week for new users to help get you acclimated and oriented to the platform. So my name is EJ White. I'm the head of growth here at beehiiv. Um, we love to do these just to make sure that people get their kind of first or initial impressions of the platform, start them out on the right foot so you know where everything is. This session is going to be very intensive. It's going to be very much a practical thing. So I think that we usually recommend that folks have this screen either in the background or like on second screen so you can follow along as we go through this. We go fairly in depth. We're going to go through all of the features, starting out with our settings and kind of show you where all the settings live, so that you can get all of like kind of the placeholder stuff set up appropriately. We're going to move from settings into the editor, and then from the editor, we're going to show basically the full power and capability of the platform, all the things available to you. From there, we'll go into the send settings, so we can show you how all the different features work around sending. What you want to set up to post web posts, what to post, how to post email posts, and so forth. From there, that'll get us about halfway through the presentation, and then we'll spend the second half going through the actual features that are on the side menu. So all of our audience features, our growth features, our design, and our analysis and monetization features. Um, so yeah, that's what we have in store today. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We're humbled to have you join. We're so appreciative of your time today and promise to make it worthwhile. As we get started, one of the things I always ask is for people to share in the chat, what stage are you at with your newsletter journey? Are you migrating from another platform? Are you just starting out fresh? This really helps us kind of tailor what we're going to talk about um, to the presentation. So like there's some things that I'll touch on or maybe skip if I see that nobody's migrating, for example. I might go lighter on some areas. But if there's a bunch of people migrating, obviously I double click on that. While people are responding in the chat, I'm gonna just give that shout to my partner to ask for a water refill, and I will be here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just gonna open the door. Perfect. Thank you for that. We have a lot of people who are starting out fresh. That sounds great. The last thing I will cover before we jump right into the platform is that we do have somebody else here with us today. You can't see him, you can't hear him, but he's very real. He's none other than producer Tony, and he's kind of keeping an eye on us from above. He's always watching. He sees everything. He's like a cross between Santa and God. And he's going to be pretending to be me in the chat. And so if you have any questions, he will answer those as we go. He'll also probably share momentarily a link to our Q&A form. And so if you have questions that you'd rather kind of ask anonymously, drop them in the Q&A. Otherwise, if there are specifics about what we're covering throughout the presentation, one, I will pause throughout the time to take questions, and two, he may just jump in and answer them. But if at any time I take a pause and I kind of start to think, like look up and, kind of look like I'm just like you're wondering what the hell is going on, it's because Tony's probably talking to me and I'm trying to listen to what he's saying, and then I'll repeat, if it's a question, I'll repeat the question and then answer it. So with that said, let's get started. I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to be working out of an account that I have set up. I've worked in this one in the past. It's been a while. I'm really bad at continuing to operate my newsletter, just because I have so much that is going on. Otherwise, I don't prioritize it, but I do have this newsletter that I have operated on and off in the past. And so as we get into the dashboard, this should look pretty familiar to all of you. The numbers it'd be weird if they look the same, but the numbers will be a little bit different. But we have active subscriber count, open rate, and click-through rate. I'm filtering right now by all time, but we have this drop down where you can see numbers over different periods of time. Of course, recent posts. We'll get into this towards the end, but these are ad opportunities. So with our platform, unfortunately not part of the free trial, but once you're on our paid plan, you will have access to our ad network where you can accept ad offers. These are just a sample of the ones that are currently available in this account. And this isn't like a test account where these were provisioned specifically for this test account. These were literally just provisioned because of the details of the account and the sending history and stuff like that. Finally, down here we have the beehiiv impact. This is going to show you the impact of the different tools that beehiiv has deployed and created on your behalf versus everything else here. So you can kind of get an idea of where your growth is coming from. From these tabs, you can also get a little bit more of a drill down on your audience. It's going to show you a little bit of a different visualization of where your audience is coming from, as well as your growth over time. Engagement's going to show you your various posts and the performance of each of those over time. And then lastly, we have this monetization tab. It's going to give you a quick and dirty view of your monetization history. So if you use boosts, which we'll get into, we'll explain what that is, boosts, paid subscriptions, and soon you'll be able to see ads in this view. But yeah, that's the overview of the dashboard. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat. Tony will answer them as we get into settings. So when you get started, if you just create your, yeah, sorry, what's up, Tony? Yeah, I was going to address that. So the empty state experience, I believe, is what, a checklist, Tony? Yeah. So I should update the presentation for that. When you get started, before you have a post or a first subscriber, you will have a checklist that does look a little bit different than this. So apologies if yours does look slightly different than this. This is what it'll look like once you kind of take those first initial steps. But we kind of give you the checklist experience to make it a little bit more clear, what it is that you are supposed to do when you first get started. But once you get through that experience, this is what the dashboard will look like. I will make sure to update that talk track for my future sessions. All right, so once you get into the settings, we're gonna kind of zoom out for a second. There's two types of settings within your account. One is workspace settings, which are going to be almost like the umbrella, the organization, the company that you're running. It's the overall umbrella settings, and then within your account, because beehiiv accounts can own or manage multiple different publications, you have a workspace, and then you have the individual publication settings. And so workspace settings are up here, individual publication settings are here. On our various plans. There's like varying amounts of newsletters. I believe on our max plan you can have up to 10, up to 10. And so if you are running multiple different newsletters, do that. On our enterprise plans, if you do end up building, a multi-site uh, media brand, we can definitely support you with as many publications as you need. So to get started, we'll start in the workspace settings. This is where you're going to set the name of like the organization or company that you're operating, the global footer for your email address. So American can spam regulations state that we have to have an address in the footer of all of the emails alongside the unsubscribe link. So this is going to be your default. This is going to be a list of all the publications in your account. So you can see these are all ones that I've built at one time or another or made for test purposes, etc. Yours will just have a single one, but as you start to add more publications, this is where those will show up. If you ever do want to delete your account, you can also do so right here. If you want to delete specific publications, you'll click these buttons. My user, this email is not the owner of this, so I can't delete it, but if you are the owner, you can click the delete button to delete specific publications. I also want to just say real quickly, I'm going to move through everything here really quickly just because we have a ton to cover. We usually go the full 90 minutes wire to wire. So if I'm moving quickly, one, this will be recorded. This is being recorded and will be provided. Two, we've done these every week for like the last like 8 or 10 weeks. And so there are past editions. If you, right after this call, want to go review those, it's very similar content. Three, yeah, we're going to be releasing this as a recording. So in the next couple days, you'll be able to come back and you can pause it and like kind of work through it at your own speed. But just because we don't really necessarily know where everyone's at, we go through everything, and that requires that I go through things pretty quickly. So again, if you have any questions, let us know. We're here, happy to answer it. Just because we're going quickly does not mean that we're trying to just get through it really quickly. We want you to be as comfortable with everything as possible. Cool. So next on the workspace settings is this team tab. This is where you're going to be able to manage the members of your team. So say you have a freelancer who's writing for you, or you have a business and you have a couple employees, you can add them here by clicking invite user and then enter their email. You can then select their permission levels, whether they should have workspace permissions, which is going to give them access to all of the publications underneath, or whether they should have publication specific access, which would give them permission only to a specific newsletter. From there, you can select for either level of permission their user role. So admin's going to give access to everything. Member is going to give access to most things except for users and billing. And contributor is going to be the most restrictive. It's only going to give them access to the actual writing and designing of posts and automations. Cool. One point also of clarity, when I use the word publication, I mean newsletter, but some users many users and more each day are using beehiiv as kind of a blog or a blog newsletter hybrid. Media in today's world is really blending those two concepts, where if you have a newsletter, you probably want a web presence so that people can discover your content even if you didn't send them the email when it was sent. Also, if you're a newsletter, it can be valuable to post traditional blog content for discoverability. Alternatively, some people may not necessarily be interested in a newsletter. They just want to publish to the web as a blog, and beehiiv has one of the most optimized platforms on the entire market, better than WordPress, better than Substack, better than pretty much everyone out there. And so if you publish with us just content to the web, you're having a great chance that search engines are going to pick up your content, and our platform makes it really easy to deploy that. You don't have to worry about like deploying hosting or anything like that. You can just get started and get writing. So in order to service both of those use cases, we use the term publication to encompass whether your use case is a blog, a newsletter, or kind of a hybrid of anything in between. It just is like the vehicle for publishing. Underneath, getting back to the presentation, getting to the billing and plan tab. This is where your information around your account status will be. When you come time to upgrade, you'll click on this to upgrade your account, choose the relevant plan, and enter your billing information. This will then update to show you your last payment as well as your next payment date, and you can always update your billing info down here. Salim, I see that you say, yep, can you share the URL? That would be great. We can give you some insights there. Lastly, for the workspace settings, if you are more of a developer developer or a development-minded person, maybe a builder, we have an open API that can be accessed using a generated API key, as well as your publication ID found right here. Our API spec is found at developers.beehiiv.com and is accessible on all of our plans, even the free plan. So moving from workspace settings to your publication-specific settings, we're going to start in the general info where you're going to set up your publication name. So this is the website name, the description, the logo, the default thumbnail. So if I go to the website, I usually start actually on the website. This is the old website experience, but these are the thumbnails. So I create custom thumbnails for each post, but if you don't create a custom thumbnail for each post, this is going to be the default. And if you don't set a default, it's just going to be a very, very basic, like beehiiv gray, placeholder. Moving down, publication tags allow you to define what your newsletter is about. So this helps us. Hey, Gnome, get the camera back up here. Okay, cool. Publication tabs help us understand what the publication is about. So in this case, travel, lifestyle, and world. The newsletter is called Vacation Voyeur. It's about writing about the most luxurious vacation experiences money can buy. And so, that's why I chose those tags. Those help our internal systems like the recommendations tool and our ad provisioning tool basically understand what your newsletter is about. And so fill those out accurately. Accuracy is more important than having 3 of them. But do fill it out so that you can be discovered and found by other publishers as well as get ad opportunities. If you're not publishing from the US, which I think I saw everyone is, but maybe you have a non-English language newsletter, we support these 7 languages. You can choose from that list. That will just update the defaults across the account to be the native language that you're choosing. Default time zone is set based on where you log in from, but if you want to change it, you can. And then this is just a placeholder for the subscribe buttons. Some users want to use beehiiv as more of an internal newsletter for keeping stakeholders up to date, maybe an investor newsletter, maybe you're running a PTA or something like that, where you don't want the content to be publicly available to the whole world. In this case, you can turn on your site or your publication as a private publication. This is going to mean that only users can, interesting. Oh, thanks. So are other people having issues seeing the screen? Not that Salim might be the only one. We should be concerned about that, but okay. I'll wait for people to respond there. But you're in the right place, Salim. That is the right URL for now. Cool. Maybe a refresh will help. I'm not sure. But anyway, so content access, maybe Tony can help troubleshoot a little bit more. We'll just keep moving along. So private publication, where were we? So with the private publication, when users arrive on your site, they'll be given the message that this is a private publication. You can't view it unless you're a member. If you check this require subscriber approval, this will actually allow users to sign up to apply to the private publication, but they won't be able to see anything until they are approved by you, the publisher. And so that's a way where if, for example, it is something like a PTA where parents, might want to be able to sign up to try to see stuff. You don't necessarily have to have that list. Otherwise, the only way people can see the private publication is if you upload their email on the original list. UTM analytics are just ways that you can deploy UTM tracking across the web, the links that are deployed on the web. It's kind of a marketing thing. Definitely recommend keeping it on and just keeping the defaults, but if you are a marketer and you want to customize those, you can. Moving into our email settings. Very simple. Sender name is going to be what shows up as the sender in users' inboxes. This is going to be the reply to address. So if they hit the reply button when they receive your newsletter, you can update this address to go to somewhere specific that you want to view. By default, it's going to be the email that you signed up for beehiiv with. At the bottom of your newsletter, there's going to be a copyright notification. And you can by default, it will be the organization that you signed up with, but you can change it to be specific to the publication. You can customize the address and so forth. The last important settings here are these pre-sent emails. So every account comes with a welcome email. This, if it's turned on, will be sent to all new subscribers. You can, if you plan to be on a paid plan, we recommend setting this up through the automations tool because it's much more flexible. But if you are just starting out or you don't necessarily plan on upgrading, then the welcome email through this portal is going to be perfectly sufficient. The difference being that with automations, you can set up multiple steps. So you could say, hey, send this when a user subscribes, and then wait a day, and then send them another email, and then wait 3 days and send them another one, and so forth. And we'll get into automations in later on, but that's that. Lastly, double opt-in is a method of basically protecting your list and making sure that all of the subscribers on your list have given active consent to join the list. And so what this looks like is when a user submits their registration, they will receive an email that then says, would you like to, looks like you've subscribed for this newsletter. Would you like to confirm your subscription? And they have to click a button. And if they don't click that button, they stay in a pending state. This is a best practice that our deliverability team certainly recommends. Some publishers turn this off because generally there's about an 80% uptake on that. And so it leads to essentially better open rates, better deliverability, but at the expense of a little bit faster growth. And so it's up to you. You can make that decision for yourself on whether you want to make that trade-off. Next, if there are people in the audience here who are migrating their newsletter from one of these select platforms, we do have an automated one-click import for these tools. I didn't see anybody say in the chat that they were importing, so we'll move right along. Similarly, subscriber import, if you do have subscribers that you want to pull in, you can do so here. By default, your import limit will be 10. By going through an automated verification of your identity, you can have that increase to 10,000. If you need more than 10,000, you just fill out this request form, and our support team will lift that to wherever you need to have it be raised to. If you ever want to export your data, you can do so here. So we don't keep any of your data hostage. All paid information around like paid subscriptions and receipts and whatnot are done through your own Stripe account. So you have to set up your Stripe account, and then you connect it to your beehiiv account. So we never own any of your paid subscription information. And then aside from that, you can export at any time all of your subscriber information as well as your posts. So complete 100% data portability here. Cool. One of the areas we had a ton of questions about are the custom domains. So all accounts can add a custom domain to their account, which just means you can take the, your newsletter.beehiiv.com and turn it into your own custom website if you buy a domain. So you can see here, I've set this up for vacationvoyeur.com. I've set up this redirect so that www.vacationvoyeur.com will point to here. And then I've also set up a custom sending domain so that my emails come from mail.vacationvoyeur.com. If you go through this, we have tons of documentation. This is actually one of the most popular areas of users to have questions about. So we've done a ton of work. Probably, might say there's no other part of the app where we've done more like user experience testing and like optimization. So, all of our documentation is there. It's very, very self-explanatory. If you do have questions or challenges, our support team is ready to help, but just follow the process there and we'll get you set up with your custom domain. Tiffany, can we migrate a blog to the new web builder? So the new web builder will automatically pull from your posts in beehiiv. If you have posts on another platform, you can import those into beehiiv, and then those would be visualized within the new web builder, contingent on being on the max plan right now and then on any of the paid plans in the future. But if you want to provide a little bit more detail on what your use case is, we can certainly give you answers there. Again, for our developers in the room, if we have any, webhooks allow you to take data that's generated by beehiiv and push it in real time to other platforms. So whereas the API is like reaching into beehiiv and pulling some data out, webhooks takes data that it starts in beehiiv and pushes it to other places. This can be integrated with tools like Zapier or Make for no-code automation of your workflows, so you can keep different databases up to date. You can, trigger updates when somebody, upgrades their account to a paid subscription. Really, there's like a ton of flexibility here. The examples don't do it justice. You can really do anything with webhooks and the API. But this is where the webhooks live. The webhooks compared to API, webhooks are part of our paid plan. So just keep that in mind if you're building something and don't plan to continue on a paid plan. When you start setting up the different monetization features, you'll connect your Stripe accounts. We have this convenient payment accounts view for you to manage the Stripe accounts that you connect to your account. Enough said there. And then for RSS feeds, we have the ability for you to import RSS feeds to populate content within your newsletter if you're on our Max plan. And then all accounts come with the ability to generate an RSS feed, by turning on the setting here, and then you can provide this to your subscribers, and they can basically take in data from your newsletter on whatever RSS reader that they desire. All right, so that got us through the settings, I think, in record time. I'm going to give a pause for a second to answer any questions, anything that I might have gone through too quickly. We'll give about 30 seconds to people to post that in the chat. I'm going to drink some water. My throat's getting dry. I got a refill here, and it's hitting. So I'll give people a second. I'm going to pause the mic. So, cool. So we have a question that came through in the QA form. So we have a user who is based in India and asking about Stripe. So unfortunately, I don't know if it's unfortunate, but we use Stripe as kind of central kind of backbone of the platform. And so Stripe is the only payments platform that we support and plan to support for the near future. If you are in a place where Stripe has trouble with connectivity, what we recommend, and unfortunately the best way, there's two approaches. One is to apply. I think there's an application process. What I've heard is that can take some time and is not the easiest process to go through. The other way would be to use something like Stripe Atlas to create a entity that is incorporated within the US. There is a fee associated with that, but essentially you would create an entity, LLC, essentially based in, I think they probably do Delaware or Wyoming. And then you then have basically a US company that you could connect the Stripe account to regardless of where you're located in the world. Cool. Mhm. Got it. So the other question I'm getting from Tony is a question about spam. We'll talk about this in a little bit later, but in short, if you we have a bunch of resources. Maybe Tony, you can dig some up on like auditing your content. If you've just started with us and your content's going to spam, then that means more likely than not that almost certainly that there's something with the content itself that is tripping the spam filters. I'll share a quick story. I was helping a user about 2 years ago troubleshoot their setup where they were sending some newsletters. Their newsletters themselves were getting delivered just fine, but they were concerned because they were looking at their welcome email stats, and like their welcome email was getting like a 4% open rate, which indicates that there's a spam issue. And I was looking at everything. All of the different records were set right, like all of the different flags and everything were all green. And then I actually jumped into the account and looked at the email itself, and his subject line was like, click here to claim your free gift card, which is like literally one of the oldest tricks in the book in terms of spammers and phishers. And so obviously that subject line was what was causing it to be flagged by spam filters. And once he changed that, it was fixed pretty much overnight. Whoever asked that question, I would also ask, like, what is that open rate? So, if your open rate is like sub 10%, that is typically indicative of a spam issue that's widespread. If you have like a 20 or 30% open rate, then you don't have a spam issue. That is more of an individual, for whatever reason, the email is going to whatever individual's spam filter. And in today's world, spam filters and boxes are customized 100% to the individual user. And so in that case, what you would want to do is basically set up a process when somebody signs up for your newsletter. Typically, this is in the welcome series. You'll add some instructions around, hey, like add this address to your contact book, click this link, to um, view past content that's very popular, respond to this email, basically some sort of interactive motion to show the email inbox provider that you're a trusted sender. And so we have a bunch of resources, both in other webinars as well as we have two whole sessions on deliverability that we've done in the past that maybe we can pass over. All right, so from here, what we're going to do, I'm going to show you again a quick version of the site. We're going to jump into one of the posts that I published recently. So, or not recently, it was a year ago. Today, a year ago, 2 days from now. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Forgot it was Valentine's Day. Glad to have you guys here on such a wonderful holiday. All right, so this is a web post of one of my pieces of content. You can see a lot of stuff here. So what we have here is like a call to action to upgrade. This is only being shown to anonymous and free users using some of our filtering and visibility settings. Image, this is the headline or title, subtitle, byline, social share, icons. Within the actual content itself, we have headlines, we have columns, we have images, we have links that are customized here. All of the red ones that are in bold can be clicked. As we get further down, we have polls, we have social media embeds, we have backlinks or internal links, more polls, our comment features, as well as keep reading. So like this is a pretty good representation of like a very full functional either web post or newsletter. I send this as a newsletter, also as a web post, but this could also just live on its own as a web post. But this gives you an example of like the type of content that we can be looking at today. It's nothing that's completely groundbreaking, but gives you a good place to start. So let's see. I'm going to jump into this post. Oh, this doesn't have any content in it. Let's go into a post that we've published before. We'll go into that exact one that we were just looking at. Cool. All right, so I'm going to get an error, I think, yeah, because I have ads deployed in here that are no longer valid, so you won't get that warning. But here, as we scroll down, we can see how I've deployed, on the premium version, rather than getting this message around, clicking or subscribing to view the audio version, they're actually going to get the actual embed of the audio on web. In email, they're going to get this call to action to click to listen to the audio. If you're on web or email and you're not a premium user, you're going to get these calls to action to view the different versions. Basically, this just creates the situation so that with one experience, whether it's web or email, and obviously desktop and mobile don't make a difference, but whether web or email, you're able to create completely bespoke experiences that you send once, and essentially you basically have reduced the work of 4 different emails to one single send. And so that's just an example of what I was showing a second ago. So when we get into a post, we have the area where you can set your thumbnail. We have content tags, which help to organize your content on the web. So again, if we go back here and we go to the archive, these content tags are ways that users can filter as well as just search around your site. We have the headline, we have the subtitle, any authors, and then we get into the content itself. So I was kind of discussing some of like the ins and outs of this premium content. But as we get down below, we have images, we have text, headlines, images, columns, etc. Now, you may be looking at this and saying, hey, this looks quite different than what we just saw on the web. There's no colored background. These widgets look a little bit different. And that's a really, really important principle when we're talking about beehiiv. Within beehiiv, we have taken the process of design and publishing, and we've bifurcated them. As career email operators, we realize that many existing solutions keep both experiences of design and publishing or drafting in the same experience. So if you're on another tool, typically when you're writing the email, you're going to also be kind of wrangling the spacing and the sizing. And if you create one block of content with text, the next one that you create, you're going to have to apply all the same settings to the next one. And it just takes a ton of time. It's very frustrating. It can lead to inconsistency in the look and feel. And so for those reasons and more, we've separated the drafting experience, which you just saw with the text and like the actual content, from the actual design experience. And so if you click on that little settings tab in here, it'll take you to what we call the design lab, or the newsletter builder. From this view, we're going to show you a representation of what the newsletter is going to look like. This is almost like a cross between like a preview and a design. It's a design system, but this is like a preview, like a mock-up of what a newsletter would look like using each of these different widgets. And so we have, the header H1, we have regular body text, we have these content breaks, we have bulleted lists, different quote styles, and so forth. All of those elements on this view correspond to different elements here on the right, which allow you to set very, very minutely the design and the look and feel of your newsletter. The purpose of this is so that you set the design up once, and then you don't have to touch it again. Maybe you want to make some refinements over time, but you're not redesigning your newsletter every time you send. One, as I said, it's going to save you time. The second thing it's going to do is just lead to more visual consistency. So you have a newsletter that is going to look the same in terms of the look and feel of the branding every single time you send it, which helps build trust and credibility and more engagement from users. So that's kind of the first step. So now the way that this works is you have the content, you write the content, and if we hit the preview button, as I did a second ago, we're going to take that content and we're going to merge it with your design system, which in this case, let's look at the email version. This is what it's going to look like on email. You can see it's kind of taking everything, it's applying the spacing, it's applying the fonts, it's applying the colors, and making it look the way that it's supposed to on web as well as on email. And so that's kind of like step one. The second part of the editor that's important to know, that's like the kind of the foundational part. The second part to understand is that everything in the editor is based around this palette of all of our different widgets. And so by clicking the / you can open up this menu of all of the different elements and tools that are accessible within the editor. So if you have any questions about these individually, drop them in the chat and I will address them. But broadly, we have kind of these basics, which are more like content-based elements, headings, which are going to be obviously the headings of each section, embeds. We have native embeds for just regular links, as well as social media embeds for TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, YouTube. And then we also have audio embeds, so you can upload an audio file. If you're writing something a little bit more academic or scientific, you can footnote your content so that it's all sourced appropriately. And then lastly, we have this section for all of our paid features. Let's zoom in a little bit so you can see it more easily. All of our premium features, so things like the advertisement widget, our AI writing tools and AI image generation tools, polls, paywall breaks, so you can show some content as a preview and then have the rest of it only accessible to paying users, and so forth. If there's anything specific here that people would want me to cover, I'm happy to go into specifics, but the main idea, the main thrust of this portion is just to show that on top of the newsletter design system, you then have a tremendous number of tools at your disposal to deploy in order to build really, really engaging experiences with your subscribers, which go from just engagement to growth. There's some growth tools in here, like our referral program, to monetization, like our boost tools, our advertisements, and premium subscriptions, all kind of are centrally executed through this menu. And so what that leads to is you can really, truly build a robust content business if you want. Otherwise, you can do your regular newsletter publishing. But for users more and more who are writing in order to sustain a side hustle, in order to build a media brand, whatever you want, we can support that. The last thing that I will comment on here, there's two things. So once you actually have some content in the editor, if you highlight any of this text, you'll see the submenu that comes down that will help you or allow you to modify kind of more minutely sections of text. So I will highlight here, there's the standard bold, italic, underline, strike through. You can also highlight text. This is a really cool feature that you don't really see necessarily in too many places, where you can like highlight and accentuate specific text. You can add links. You can format as code. So if it's something where it's like, you're doing something with code, you can do that. Subscript and superscripts. You can change the heading style. Bulleted list, there's a couple different styles here. You can deploy quote text. And then if there is a section where you need to diverge from your design system, this settings right here allow you to make specific kind of local changes to that design that are going to kind of break your design system, but can be done for, in very specific cases for impact. So like, for example, say you have your normal font set, but maybe for some reason you want to take, this text here and you want to make it really, really extra huge. You can do that. Obviously, you don't want to do that everywhere, and this would only be used very sparingly for effect, but you can essentially use this little settings menu to do that. Similar, you can change the color, you can change the font even, but where we've seen people, sometimes get hung up is that they don't necessarily realize that the design should mostly be done, like 99.9% be done in the design tab. They think that maybe that this is where the design is supposed to happen, and they're like, this is so restrictive and very, very hard to use. And that's because that's just not where that work is supposed to be done. The last thing I'll call out here is our AI tools. So you can improve writing, translate it, fix spelling and grammar, or have it auto-complete sentences if you get some writing blocks. So we fully believe in the power of AI augmenting, not replacing people. And so we provide these tools in a way that allow you to create, that just takes your human-generated content and makes it the best version that it can be, rather than taking the human out of the process. Before we move on from the editor, the last group of settings I'll talk about are the visual settings and the visibility settings. So visual settings are the third kind of part where you can really get specific with your content. So we've covered design, the newsletter builder, we've covered the widget palette, and the last element that helps you really, really get specific with replicating designs are these visibility settings. So the first thing I might do is, let's group this content. We might want to change and make this content like, actually, I think I actually already have sections where I've done it. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so in this section, I have a couple of these recommendation widgets set up. And what I've done is I've actually grouped this header with these two widgets in what we call a section. And so you can see that they've been grouped by this indication here. And I've modified both of their visibility and the visual settings. So first of all, because recommendations only work in email, I've made it so that this section is only visible in email. It's not visible on the web. And it's being shown to all subscribers, whether they're free or whether they're premium. And so this is really where you can get very specific. As you saw at the beginning of this session up here, these 4 different things, these all have visibility settings so that they're shown to the specific audience. So free versus premium, web versus email, so that instead of sending 4 different emails, I can send 1 email and it's going to be the perfect experience depending on who's reading it and where they're reading it. So in this case, visible in email. And then the visual settings, I've specifically modified the spacing. In this case, given it 15 pixels all around. If I wanted to be more specific and maybe I only wanted to add spacing above or below or maybe side to side, I can click either of these icons and kind of make that more granular in terms of the control. And then I've also changed the borders and made them 1 thickness on the top and bottom, 0 on the sides, 0 curve to the corners, and black and solid. So in this case, you can change border colors. I've also then come and I've changed the background color, and I'm making it white on the web. And no, sorry, this is for email. I'm making it white in the email because the background is normally the other color. So from here, or no, it's obviously pink because it's, yeah, background color. Oh, it's just a different color pink. That's a darker color pink. Don't do that. Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. So here we can see, that I've basically modified this. So again, if we go to the preview section and we view the email version, we can go down here and we can see that this is the kind of culmination. We have these borders on the top and bottom that go all the way to the border of the main email, so it kind of creates this like nice little block aesthetic. The background is pink, and everything's here. So this is going to, again, show up only on email for this very, very specific experience. And it looks really, really nice. It kind of has this aesthetic look where we alternate between white background and this light pink background. All right, before we move on from the editor, there's a couple features up here to mention. So 2 things you can do with the editor. If you have, we'll get into what custom tags, or sorry, custom fields are. But if you have custom fields set in your newsletter, you can access those with these curly braces. So for example, I have mine set for first name. So if I type first name and then the pipe to set a default, what this is going to do is it's going to look to see if I have the first name of a user. And if I do, it's going to replace it with their first name. And if it doesn't, it's going to replace it with friend. So again, if I come up here in preview, let's go to here. And instead of just a generic free subscriber, I'm going to type in my email address and view it as this user, which is just me. And let's see, did I not do it up top? Give me 1 sec. Sometimes it takes a second to refresh. There we go. Oh yeah, I gotta change this up here again, okay. Oh, you know what, because I sent this already, it might. Oh, because I already sent the email, it's not gonna show me the updated version. Let's see, maybe the web then. Yep, there we go. So in this case, it's replacing it with friend. If I do, let's see if I have it set for this one. And this one, it's replacing it with EJ. So you can see that. You can use that to customize your email. Again, that uses a term called custom fields. We'll get into how you set custom fields in a few minutes. The other thing that you can do here is set backlinks. So say you want to reference another post that you've published. If you do the square brackets, you can basically open up a menu of the past articles that you've posted, and you can basically insert that link here. If you click it, you can then edit the text of it. And this helps with SEO and just as a convenient way that you can reference your entire backlog. All right, so from there, we have very, very robust collaboration tools. So again, if you are working with a team or you work with a freelancer, we make it very easy. If you highlight everything here and then click this button, it lets you add a comment. So you can, just like Google Docs, you can type in @whoever and then mention them. It's going to send them a notification. You can say, let's update this. It's going to add it to the feed. If I'm receiving the comment, I can, add a reply. What should we do? And then when that comment is resolved, you can hit the checkbox and it's going to basically resolve it. Say we only want to show open comments, you can basically set it to open, and it's going to hide any that have been resolved. Similarly, you can see up here with this icon, this is going to show you who's active in the editor at any given time. So right now it's just me, but if there was somebody else, I'd actually be able to see their icon on my screen, and I'd be able to see them typing if they were typing in real time. So there's no issues with like collaboration and overwriting other people's work. You can really work collaboratively in real time, which is great, specifically for newsletters where there might be tight deadlines if you're sending something that's time sensitive. And say that there is a situation where someone's writing in there and you want to like revert to a previous version. We have very, very powerful version control. Again, ignore this, you won't get this on yours, but you can see that I've been in here a whole bunch because I use this as an example for my webinars. We could go back to any of these different versions, and if I just click this, it's going to show me what that looks like at a given time, and we'll be able to see that. So in this case, these are some of the ad units that I had listed in here, and then this is our referral widget, which we'll get into the referral program in a few minutes, but you can see how this is set where I have it, advertising this offer where if you refer the newsletter to a friend, you can earn one of these milestone rewards. Cool. Lastly, once you've done all of this work, you've drafted your first content, you've set your design, you've set all of those visibility settings, you've set all of those visual cues in terms of the visibility and visual settings. It's a lot of work. And so once you've done that once, you're like, oh my gosh, It's like climbing a mountain. I've done all this work, and now I'm going to have to do it all again next week when I write the next newsletter. No, you don't. We thought of that, and what you can do is once you have this content the way you want it, simply hit save and save it as a template. So we'll call this maybe default or weekly newsletter. And once you hit save, from now on, when you come to this writing tab, you can say, instead of starting from a blank draft, you can start from a template, and you'll have the template listed here. And so that will just start your post with all of the content that you had written originally. So you can come in and just replace the different sections, replace the different content. You won't have to replace the settings. You'll just rewrite whatever content it is, or anything that should stay kind of static from send to send will stay static from send to send. Makes it very, very easy that once you've put, again, the whole theme is you do it once, you set it up once, that work then just continues to pay dividends over time as you don't have to redo the work over and over and over again. Many people come to us saying, I moved from MailChimp or wherever, I'm saving hundreds of hours over the course of 6 months because I have all of these productivity enhancements inside the tool. All right, we are about halfway through. And like I said, we're going to get through the editor and we're going to get into the features about halfway through. So we are right on time. The next step is to talk about sending. So if I come in here and I get to the post and I'm, so we've written all the content, it's time to talk about actually getting it out the door. So if I come here, before you send, you're actually going to have like a next button. So maybe I'll just go to a different version so we can show that. Pretend, we've written our content, etc. We're going to hit next. And so now we have our audience settings. So from here, we can choose who we want the post to go to. So by default, we typically are going to want to send it to everyone. So free and premium, and then free and premium. So this is going to be our email audience up here. This is going to be our web audience. We talked about the differences between the two at the beginning of the call. If you only want to publish a newsletter that goes to email, all you're going to do is just uncheck these boxes down here, and now your newsletter is not going to anyone on the web. It's not going to be published to the web. It's only going to be visible to the users that you send it to via email. Alternatively, if you are operating something that's more traditionally like a blog, or you're publishing just like a traditional blog post, you can just check these boxes, and now it's not going to get sent to emails. The email audience is now 0, published to web only. It's only going to go to your web archive. Say you want to do some combination of those. You want to send it to only free users. Say it's like a promotional email and your premium users don't get the promotional emails. You can select show to only free users and show to only free users on the web. And anything between. If it's like a special Sunday edition that only your premium subscribers get, you can select it like that. Lastly, we'll get into what segments are, but segments are a way to make like groups from your list. And so maybe you want to exclude certain people from a send, or maybe you only want to send a newsletter to specific people. You can do that by including specific segments or excluding specific segments from your send in the email section. On the web, it's kind of a different dynamic, so there's not the same concept of excluding or including users. In that case, logically, you would only need to use these free and premium flags. Once we've gone through there, we're going to send it to both, kind of to everyone, so we get all the settings on the next screen. We're going to move to our email settings. This is going to be where you set the subject line. You can A/B test multiple subject lines by using this button. If you have any questions about subject lines, drop them in the chat. Happy to answer them. In this case, you can also set whether you want to include the social links and the like and comments buttons in your email. So if I come here and I check that and I go to preview and I click on email, try that again, and we click on preview. I said we're going to try that again, and we're going to click on email. Sometimes takes a second. Where are my icons? I wonder if it's because I have that content in here. Let's get rid of this. That's our RSS block. Let's see, maybe that was causing an issue. Come on. Oh, it looks like the RSS block might be causing an issue. Yeah, let's note that down, Tony. We can pass that along. There we go. There we go. Cool. Yeah, I just need to refresh. So we have the like and comment button here, and then we have the social media links here. If I were to get rid of these, then hopefully this shows up really quickly. Maybe things are running a little slowly today. If you uncheck these, those should disappear. Next, moving to web, this is where you can set the URL for your post. You can upload the thumbnail if you didn't already here. And then we have some settings around pop-ups, so we can automatically deploy things like pop-ups or gate your content so that when a user comes to the post, maybe you don't want them to be able to see the content until they subscribe. You can do both of those here. Or you can add, flags to only show your content to, or sorry, for comments, you can allow users anybody to comment, only paid subscribers, disable comments completely or lock them. If you are on our Max plan, you'll have the ability to deploy your newsletter with an audio version powered by 11 Labs. This is a really, really cool feature where you can basically set it so that your web content has a version that's read by an AI voice. And then your SEO settings, if you are publishing to the web, if you're a blog writer and you are optimizing around specific keywords, you can optimize your content in this section here. Finally, we're going to get to the review stage where it's going to show us who we're sending the post to, what the post title is and such. Before we send, we recommend clicking this button to view our draft settings. So in this case, you can click this link and send it to somebody. They're going to actually be able to see a version of the post before it goes live. They can give you feedback that way. Otherwise, you can send a test email and they're going to get in their inbox and see it that way. So you can make sure that everything looks pixel perfect before you hit send. When you're ready to hit send, you're going to just hit the schedule button. You're going to choose that date and time that you want it to go out and then hit publish, and that's going to add it to the queue. Otherwise, if you want to publish immediately, just click publish now and hit the publish now button. Very self-explanatory. Cool. So now we are ready to move on to our feature suite. Let me give people a second to ask any questions. I know, again, we're running through things super quickly. We've gone through 56 minutes. We have about, 38 minutes left, 34 minutes left. We're going to cover the remaining features in that time, but we want to take just a few seconds to answer any questions that might have arisen. And I'm also candidly going to take a sip of water. Maybe a couple. That's good. This sip of water brought to you by Brex. Yeah, so separate newsletters. So the question is, how many different newsletters can you have on separate domains on the same account with a free account? So the answer is one. We only allow one newsletter for free accounts. Managing multiple newsletters through your same account is a feature of our paid plans. So with our scale plan, you get up to 3, and then with our max plan, you get up to 10. Enterprise is uncapped. In theory, we give you custom pricing on our enterprise plan, so it would come down to that. Cool. All right, we're going to jump into features. So we've covered posts. We're going to move into the audience section here. So under subscribers, we've mentioned a couple things here. We're going to look from here. So if you view your subscribers, you will see their email here, their status. Active means subscribed, inactive means unsubscribed. Any tags that you've set, their subscription tier, so free or premium, when they subscribed, and then how they came into your system, kind of their growth details. Aside from subscribers, we also have these custom fields. So this is where you're going to set up those fields for collecting personal information that then can be used for personalization. Similarly, if you're concerned more about grouping your list by shared characteristics, custom fields are characteristics about individual users. Tags indicate traits of groups. And so you can set tags here. And then finally, preferences are a little bit more of an advanced feature that allow you to set custom preferences that your audience can then modify in order to customize their experience with your newsletter. So for example, maybe you're sending a daily newsletter and you want to give users the option of receiving maybe only a weekly version. They'd be able to go into their account and select weekly versus daily, so they're no longer going to get your daily version. We have some documentation on how to set that up. It's not usually necessarily relevant for beginners, but if you have like something in mind that you want, an experience that you want to design, we certainly can support that. So moving back over here, if I look at our subscribers and I click onto one of them here, this is going to be the view that you get. You can see all of the emails received, all the emails opened, open rate, click-through rate, and total revenue. Important to know here, we use something that we call verified click-through rate. So we verify that the clicks that are made within our emails are made by humans. We have a tool, a vendor that we use that basically looks at 100 different data points and is able to see whether a click is made by a bot, like a spam filter, or if it's actually made by a person. And because our newsletters, our email kind of situation is all driven by human interaction and engagement, we want to make sure that when people are seeing these numbers, they're seeing engagement that's actually happening from real people. This also is obviously very important for our ad network where people get paid out based on the clicks. And so advertisers obviously only want to pay for clicks that are made by people. And it just is better that we see actual data in that way. So that's what the difference, in terms of what verified clicks means. But can make it so that the clicks are a little bit different than other platforms. I will say the point of clarification that some people, it's a little bit more nuanced, but when some people, when they hear this, they say, wait, but this person, this is definitely a real person. I've interacted with them. They're not a bot. That's not what we're saying. Every email that comes into the system is verified to make sure that it's a real email and that it can be delivered to. Even when it's a real person, if they're using an email inbox like Gmail or Apple or really any of them, there's a process that most of these inboxes go through where they will scan every email that comes in and they will click like all of the links within the email to make sure that the links are not going to bad places. And so even a human recipient can show these bot clicks. And so all we do is just remove the bot clicks out and give you a real number of the actual click-through rate that that person has taken. From the subscriber overview here, you can see the different types of interactions and the event feeds that users have taken. So you can see specifically here this history of how the subscriber has interacted with the emails that have been sent to them. And over here, there's a bunch of just different quick links and ways that you can see, some growth details, those custom fields that we mentioned before, any tags that they're tagged with, and then their history of being added to different automations. Okay, cool. We covered all of those. So segmentation allows us to create sublists of our audience using our segmentation engine. So if I go here and edit this existing sub-segment, I'll just call it, and get rid of these two. Yeah, there we go. So in this case, I created this segment called Instagram subs paid to basically show me all of the users that I've acquired through paid growth. So in this case, UTM medium is going to be what I tagged my ads with to indicate, with the UTM medium that they were ads, so CPC. And then the UTM source, I flagged as Instagram. And so what this is going to do is going to return a list where those users have those characteristics. So within the conditions builder, you can really choose and build these segments based off of really any interaction and any attribute that we're collecting about users. It's incredibly flexible, infinitely so almost. So it's essentially, if you want to see either performance of a specific group or send comms to a specific audience, all you have to think about is like, what are the characteristics that make up this audience? And then you translate that conceptually into the logic here in this builder, and that will return your list. And if you have questions about that, our support team is very, happy to help create segments with you and kind of give you some guidance if you have an idea of what you want to build there. As far as automations go, this is what we mentioned before around setting up automations. One use case is that welcome series. So in here you can come into workflow. You can see here that this workflow, this automation is triggered when a user signs up. They're then going to receive a welcome email followed by a 3-day delay. And then if these were active, they would get another email and then another time delay. This tool similarly is incredibly flexible. There are like 10 different ways that you can, let me see if there's something set up here. I can probably still set up the auto. Yeah, so add trigger. There's like a ton of different triggers that can kick off these automations. And for anything that we don't have an explicit trigger for, we have 3 different ways to add them to an automation. One is through manual, so you can literally click on any user and add them and just drop them into an automation. But the more powerful one is this add by API. So again, this is if you are using tools externally and you want to, for any reason or any interaction, add someone to an automation, you can do so by simply grabbing the API endpoint that's created when you create this trigger And through something like Zapier, Make, or if you're a developer, you can basically push users from any tool into an automation with just a couple clicks. Again, I cover this pretty quickly because it's really infinitely flexible. If you have questions about something you want to build and you're not quite sure how to do it, our support team is ready to help you. But really, if you can dream it, you can build it. There's an incredibly high amount of like flexibility with this automations tool. All right, moving down to polls. I highlighted a couple of polls in the walkthrough. In this case, I've created a satisfaction poll. I've included it in these 6 different posts, and I can see the results for this poll here. I use this specifically to keep track of customer satisfaction, and this is a voting poll. There's other types of polls like the Safari poll, which is a trivia poll. At the end of the day, both of these, the purpose is to collect information from users, to drive engagement and collect information from users. In this case, it's to drive engagement with the trivia poll. From the satisfaction one, it's to collect information of how I'm doing when I'm delivering my newsletter. This is one of the most, I think, underrated features that we have. There's pretty much no scenario where like adding a poll to a newsletter is going to be a bad idea. In fact, I go as far to typically tell people if your newsletter doesn't have a poll in it, then you're leaving money on the table, because these polls allow you to track satisfaction, which gives you signals onto how well your audience is pleased and served by your content. It shows email inboxes that users are engaging with your content, which is going to get you better email placement. If we copy this results here, and if I go to something like X and I want to share it, it's going to give me this nice like Wordle style thing. So it creates unique social media content. There's ways you can use polls like to tell, if you're thinking about creating a lead magnet, you can literally have a poll. It's like, what type of content would you like to hear about or read about, and they can just literally tell you what you should build your lead magnet about. There's really a hugely, again, flexible amount of ways that this tool can be used, and it's pretty much never a bad idea. Surveys are our forms tool. So in this case, I have a welcome survey that users receive when they sign up. So in this case, let's go here. It's just going to take me to the user. Let's go back. I go here. We'll do the view settings. So form builder, again, very similar looking experience to the automations flow, but here you can choose, the question that you're going to ask the user, the custom field that the answer should be mapped to, and then this is what it looks like, and then you can just build this flow. I have this set to be in my subscriber flow, which we'll cover towards the end, where a user is going to subscribe and then they're going to be passed into the survey, so I can collect that information immediately upon subscription, which is the best practice that we recommend. Cool. Moving on from one last audience feature. If you are integrating with a third-party website like WordPress, and for whatever reason you want to keep it there, we have these tools where with just one line of code, you can deploy a subscription field where if user adds their email, they're going to be added to your list, and it's going to, they're going to automatically be added to your list, and information captured. Similarly, we have this JavaScript attribution script. So if you do that on a third-party website, drop this attribution script, and we're going to basically be able to pass through information related to like where those users came from and give you the most amount of visibility into the technical stuff. Moving on to our growth features. I highlighted our referral program before. We make this is like one of the initial flagship features we launched the platform with. We make it with just a couple clicks, super easy and included within the platform to create a referral program that can engage and motivate your users to share your newsletter across the web. In this case, I have these 4 rewards set up: 1 year of premium access, a sticker, a hat, and a tote bag, set up for 1, 3, 10, and 20 referrals respectively. I showed what it looked like before within the email. The setup process is really, really straightforward. You're just going to set new referral, add the details, compose the email that users are going to get when they hit the milestone, and then add the actual details, and you're good to go. We give you this great dashboard. You can see who's referred users, how engaged those users are, and basically, which plans and which referrals are working the best in terms of motivating. I also mentioned recommendations. We saw that in one of the widgets in the sections that I covered before. This is a way for you to organically share and cross-promote subscribers between one another. So I usually use this opportunity to go back to the website to show kind of this in action. So if I come here and I subscribe, it's going to enter me into our subscribe flow. And so in this case, I'm going to be shown this widget, which is going to have my organic recommendations here. And then above, noted by the sponsored tab, are going to be the boosts that are being offered. So a boost is just a way to get paid when you recommend another newsletter. Recommendations are ways that you can do that organically. So if I select all, it's going to subscribe me to all of these. If I only select a couple of them, it's only going to subscribe me to a few of them. But these down here that are marked without the sponsored tab are the organic recommendations. Once I complete that, I'm going to be moved to the survey. So this is that welcome survey that we just went through. And then after the welcome survey, I'm going to be passed off to the upgrade screen. So this is where users can upgrade to the premium version. And this is through a paid subscription, which we'll cover at the very end. And then from here, this is our kind of cross-promotion screen. If you're running multiple newsletters, you can easily cross-promote your other newsletters here. And then you're going to be redirected to whatever link that you want to redirect users to. In my case, I just have users redirected to the home page here. All right. So back to recommendations. In this case, I can see that I have recommended 92 subscribers to Air Traveler Club. Of this list, if I click this tab, I can see that Own the Watch has referred 4 subscribers to me. Again, this is just organic, altruistic, cross recommendations, but it's can contribute to growth. If you're doing external promotions, we integrate with more than, I think, 14 different platforms. So in this case, you would just grab your magic link. Say you're doing a promotion with somebody who's on Aweber. You could just hand them this link, and when they send their newsletter or their email to their subscribers with this link inside of it, their recipient's email is going to be replaced here. So say I was the recipient. This is what I can't change it here. Let's see if I can. I don't have a great way to show you, but it would basically replace the email there, and then when a user clicks it, it's going to automatically, with one click, subscribe them. There's no re-entering their email or information or anything. So a great way to do cross promotions external to beehiiv, to work cross-platform and collaboratively. Lastly, I just shared boosts. The other side of the marketplace, I showed you the side where users can monetize with boosts. This is the interface where if you want to create an offer where you're willing to pay for growth, you can do so. So this is really cool in that, say you want to run ads on Facebook, you set a budget for $100, you've set up all the tracking, you're not guaranteed any subscribers. You'll likely get some, but you don't know what cost you're going to get. It could be $100 per subscriber, it could be $1 per subscriber. But in any case, Facebook is going to spend your budget, and whatever you get, whatever you get. With boosts, you actually are able to set a specific cost per subscriber, and that's what you pay. So if you set $2.50 per subscriber, you set a budget for $100, you're going to get 40 subscribers from that. And on top of that, we go a step further and not only guarantee subscribers for a certain price, but we monitor those subscribers and we ensure that they're actually engaging with your newsletter, staying subscribed. And if they show signs of unengagement, meaning that they're just kind of dead weight on your list, you actually get refunded for those subscribers. And so it is by far the cleanest, best way to grow on the web. And because we own the data, and not we own the data, but because we have visibility into all of the data and all of the signals generated by the subscribers, there is no other platform on earth that can get as granular and guarantee the performance that we can. So there's other tools out here that kind of do cross recommendations, and the quality of those cross recommendations it can't be compared because they're just kind of sitting on top, and we have that deep data integration to understand how subscribers are performing. So if you're trying to grow and put some money behind it, in this way, Boosts is by far the best place to put your budget, in my opinion. Before we get to the last monetization features, I want to jump into the website real quick. So This is our existing website builder experience. There's just some settings here that are worth knowing about. So if you are running advertising or you're doing any kind of analytics, if you click in this pixels tab, you can insert the pixels for these various platforms. If you're worried about considering SEO, there's some SEO settings here. Social links is where you're going to set all of your social links, and this is where you're going to set them so that they appear on your website. We showed the email capture settings on the actual post where you could set the pop-ups or gated stuff. This is where you can actually set it across your entire publication rather than just one at a time. Here's the sign-up flow settings I mentioned. So here, because I have these all checked, it first showed us the recommendations page, then the welcome survey, then the upgrade page, then the multiple pubs. And finally, I had it redirect to the home page, but you could have any link here. But this is where you're going to set up the subscribe flow, so you can really customize that user experience. If you want to set the comments for your publication at a high level, so you just want to set it and forget it, you can turn on and off comments here and then set the settings right here. If you're getting too many notifications, you can do that. Or I'm sorry, your own notifications are up in the settings over here. Notification preferences. These are going to be the notifications for that your users see. Let's go back one screen. Sorry for that detour. Cool. All right. Every publisher with beehiiv gets their own mobile app. So in this case, if a user comes to your site and signs up on mobile, they're going to get a screen that comes up whether they're on Android or iOS, and it's going to ask them if they want to add your publication to their home screen. And so, I don't actually have my phone. Oh, my phone's being used as the camera, so I can't show you. But essentially, it looks just like the app the app icon on your home screen. If they do that, every time you publish a post, they're going to get a push notification. If they make a comment and someone replies to that comment, they're going to get a push notification. It's a great way to engage users. And unlike some other platforms that push their own app and puts their app between you and your subscribers, we actually just give every publisher their own app so that subscribers can make their own choices about who they want to follow. And you keep that relationship one-to-one. There's no kind of intermediate between you and your subscriber. Security settings, these have to do with GDPR. You can turn on GDPR mode if you're in the EU. And you can modify whether you want users to have the ability to log in with a password. Otherwise, we will send magic links automatically where they just click a link and it logs them in through magic link. If you want to set up some custom pages, pending the launch of our web builder, if you want to add custom pages to your site, this is where you're going to do it. In this case, we have the different publications. You can add dedicated pages where you can we showed the multi-publication screen where you show like the multiple different publications in one view. This is where you can add those. You can turn on an authors page. This is going to add some bios about your authors to the website. And then this is where you're going to continue setting up those subscriber preferences we mentioned at the beginning of the call. Embed recommendations widget, again, this is going to be a feature if you are operating a third-party website and you want to use the recommendations pop-up where users can do boosts. These are the instructions there. And then if you want to reset your whole theme, you can do so there. Again, before we jump into the monetization features, we do, under the Analyze tab, have the most advanced analytics across the entire industry. If you jump into here, you can see 3 different reports: your subscriber report, your post report, and your clicks report. Under subscriber report, we have multiple different tabs here that can show you data in a very, very granular way about your audience, the performance of those users across a bunch of different dimensions, where they're coming from, how they're opening, clicking, unsubscribing, etc. It's kind of an overall view. And then we have a couple of cohort analysis views. The wonderful part here is that, one, you can export these tabs as a PDF if you want to share these with your organization or investors or advertisers. You can also download the results of any of these individual widgets in a couple different formats that make it really, really flexible for creating your own custom reporting. again, similar with your post report, you're going to be able to see the performance across all of these different emails that you've sent. And lastly, same with clicks report. We're gonna, in the clicks report, what we do is we strip out like all of the different like UTM parameters so that this is just showing like kind of the base links, which then are able to, you can then pass these to advertisers and whatnot that, are really gonna give them a good idea of like what links people are clicking. So, cool. Total unique web clicks, yeah. So anyway, from there, we are finally at the place where we're going to talk about our monetization features. So the first one is ads. I mentioned this at the beginning. When you sign up on our paid plan, you're going to have access to ads, boosts for monetization, and paid subscriptions. We put these on our paid plan and not on our trial because we want to avoid a situation where you make some money and it's locked in the system because then you lose access if you don't continue after your trial. And so it's really valuable to us that we share what's kind of behind the curtain with you guys. So as far as ads go, this is going to be the dashboard that shows the offers that are being provided to you at any time. And so if you wanted to, if I wanted to sponsor Run Dot, for example, I can click into that offer. I can project out what I might be paid. I can select a date that I want to run it. I can even select which variation of the ad I want to have dropped into my newsletter. Once I do that and I hit select a date, I can then review and accept. And then that's going to basically provision the ad that I can then drop into my newsletter. Once I've run it, I can click on this reports tab, and this is going to give me reporting that is going to just show me the performance of that ad buy. Lastly, we have, I think this is a little bit behind the scenes. This is coming soon. We are basically going to be able to support you being able to offer your own products and your own subscription terms within your own storefront. I think I just have some things here. I don't think this is ready yet, though, but it's getting close to being ready. We'll put a pause on that for now. All right, cool. So moving next, we have boosts. So we already saw the grow side of the marketplace where you can create your offer. If I click into the Explore Offers tab here, I can see real-time different newsletters that are willing to pay users in order to get in front of my audience. And so let's just do some filters real quick just to see, okay, I wanted to run something for travel. Is travel. And English, because my content's in English. I want to promote somebody who's like a bit bigger than me, so we'll just do small, medium. I want to make sure that they've posted in the last 14 days. Okay, actually, let's make the size even bigger. So we won't discriminate based on size. Cool. And then subscriber countries. I'm gonna say like most of my subscribers I'm doing from America, and that's usually where kind of the highest rates are going to be. So like let's say United States. Cool. All right, and so now I have this short list of multiple different newsletters that are willing to pay me specifically to get in front of my audience. The minimum here is going to be $1. The most is going to be $1.60. So $1.60 per subscriber I recommend. Sounds great. I'm going to click apply. I'm going to explain why my newsletter deserves to get that offer. I can say I run a travel newsletter, very affluent or aspirational audience because we're doing luxury vacations. So these are going to be great folks that are going to be super engaged. I do advertising, but I only target the US. Kind of all these things that they're looking to basically advertise around. And if it's a good fit, they'll accept it, and then I can start promoting them, and I'm going to get paid $1.60 every time one of my subscribers also subscribes to their profile when they sign up. The very last thing we're going to cover here is paid subscriptions. So this is essentially like, hey, I'm going to create a paid version of my newsletter where you can pay $4 a month in order to access the newsletter without ads, or it's going to be $10 a month and you're going to get 4 additional newsletters a month. Normally I send on Monday. I'm also going to send you the paid version is going to come out on Thursday, and you're going to get this specific content. You can do really whatever you want with paid subscriptions. If you're running anything through either Memberful or Patreon, we more or less have feature parity with both of those platforms, and so you can really do whatever you would want all in one place if you're operating on those tools. We have, you can create multiple tiers, bronze, silver, gold. You can do, pay what you want, donations, all kinds of stuff, one-time payments, etc. That is going to be set up on this paid tiers tab. You click in here, you can create the different paid tiers, make offers for your paid subscription. So maybe you want to do like a 7-day trial or 1 year for free. There's just a bunch of different features in here that you can use to customize whatever you're offering. We even integrate with Apple Pay. So if someone's visiting on Safari, they can be given like the one-click Apple Pay subscription. All right, that's been a lot. We have 5 minutes left. I'm going to get Tony to pull together any questions that are on the QA sheet. If you have any questions that you want answered from all of that, drop them in the chat right now. While we're waiting, I'm going to quickly promote our paid community on Slack. It comes with the paid subscription to beehiiv, so there's no extra fee. We have more than 3,500 active paying users in that community. There's dozens, if not hundreds, of messages every day. I have like hundreds waiting for me right now, just from the past couple days. And it's, like I said, all active publishers. So if you're looking to take your newsletter to the next level, if you're serious about it and you want to be around other like-minded people, we have more than 15 channels. I think we have exactly 20 channels covering things like monetization, deliverability, growth, design, cross promotions, strategy, all of these different things that if you're a operator who's getting started, or I think most people are getting started, and you really want to shorten that learning curve, it's a very, very welcoming community that will help get you where you want to be more quickly. It's basically just a community for networking with like-minded operators, one of the most information-dense places on the entire web. And so if this was useful, the Hive is usually like 10 times more useful because you can ask questions, you can interact with other people, you can get questions if you have a specific case answered very, very quickly. So with that being said, we will go toss it to Tony. He's going to give me any questions, and I will restate them and answer them here. Yeah, so the question is, does beehiiv allow OpenAI to train on its writing? We don't explicitly disallow it. We don't have any kind of agreement with OpenAI to say, hey, you can do it. It's just like any other content across the web. If you have concerns about that, you can make it a private publication where it's not going to be indexed or searchable or viewable by non-public users. But most of the stuff that the way that they're operating, it's just like they crawl the web just like anything else. And if anything's public, they're able to see it. So I don't know if that's a satisfying answer, but we don't have any like agreement with them to sell your data to them or anything like that. Yeah, so let's see. I believe at one point, not too distant past, we added webhooks for referrals. Yeah, so sorry. The question I can see, I think is probably from Kamisha in the chat, asking about selling merch links, and integrated print on demand. So there's two different approaches. The way that I've done, we've actually worked with a company called Slingshot, where they actually offer links that if somebody just clicks the link, they can submit their information, and then the print on demand happens and then gets shipped to them. So it's actually super, super clean. In that case, because it's a link, all you need to do is just drop that link in the referral milestone email. And in that case, testing point. In that way, it's completely seamless. We actually prefer working with them. They tend to have higher quality products, and the experience is just a little bit cleaner because normally users aren't offering their address. The issue with like a print on demand like webhook or something like that is that you still have to ask the user for their address before you can actually ship it to them. So like if they earn something that's real merch, and then you send them the milestone email, the milestone email will have to have like a form to say, hey, you've earned whatever this is, fill out this form so we can ship it to you. using these like link-based services like Slingshot actually allows you to just drop the link in, and then they handle collecting the address and shipping. It's a much better experience from everything we've seen. Um, it looks like there's not the recommendation tier here. Yeah, I think that's really kind of the approach that we've recommended, because otherwise the process then just takes multiple extra steps. And so, yeah, that's the integration that we recommend. Usually it's going to be something where you want the user to then fill out a form before automatically sending it. In that case, speaking of, I think it's all coming back to me now because we addressed this like 2.5 years ago. You could basically build something like that incredibly easily. So what you would want to do is essentially, if you had something like Printful that's going to ship things on demand, you can essentially have some sort of form tool. Could be a form through, I think you could probably do, yeah, you definitely do it through a form through beehiiv using automations. You could do it through a form externally if you wanted to. But essentially, what you would do is, say you're using beehiiv, you'd set up a form for collecting the user's email address. You would take that form, put it in the the referral, sorry, you would take the form, take the URL for the form, put it in the milestone email. When a user earns that milestone, they would then come into that form, they would fill out their address. We have a webhook for we have an automation endpoint for when users complete a survey. So within that automation flow, you would then, when they complete the survey, enter them into that automation. One of our automation actions is to send a webhook, and then you could send the webhook using that to Printful. At the end of the day, that's going to be the simplest way, and there's like not really simpler way to build a specific flow for that. If you have questions, I can literally write that out and send that to you over email. But it's just kind of a perfect example of how we've built a tool to be pretty much infinitely flexible between segments, between the forms, and between automations. There's really not a whole lot that you can't do in that way. Yeah, if you could email me at ej@beehiiv.com, I'll outline that process and send it back to you. We'll probably write an article about it. Write that down, Tony. We can do an article about how to do print on demand type stuff for the referral program. That's actually a great topic, honestly. We could do a video and stuff about it too. Cool. We are 2 minutes over, which I think means that we might be 4 or 5 minutes over in total. Thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate the folks who have stuck around this entire time. My email is ej@beehiiv.com. Happy to answer any questions. With regard to the pitch for the Hive, if you basically are already using Slack and you signed up with beehiiv with an email that is not your beehiiv email, if you signed up if like those emails between Slack and beehiiv are different, let me know when you upgrade. By default, you'll get an email with the link to the community. But we use your beehiiv email to verify that. So other than that, Tony, anything else I should add? Anything I forgot? Cool. Tony's given me the A-OK. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's my pleasure to be able to present this to you. We're so grateful to have your business and have your attention. Our commitment to you is that we build the best tools to the best of our ability every single day. You're the reason why we show up and are so excited to build this great company. And our commitment to you is that we will build the best tools for you possible and provide the best service out there. We care more than anyone else, and it's our commitment to be the best. So if we're ever not living up to that commitment, let us know. Send us an email. We're fully accessible through email, through the web. We want you to be as successful as possible. With that being said, we can't wait to see what you build. Thank you so much again for your time. You're the reason why we do this, why we show up and spend so much time getting you off on the right foot. Other than that, have a great Friday. Have a safe weekend. Thank you again. Bye-bye.